Well, good afternoon. This is another day here in the Twisted Knot Woodshop, and I'm here to show you how to make a very cheap and very effective dust collection system using nothing more than a fiber drum cardboard, if you want to look at it that way. This drum is 32 inches high and 22 inches in diameter. Some of them come with metal lids. In this case, this one's a plastic lid. It really doesn't matter. The metal lid is a little bit more difficult to cut out the part in the center there. You can see the hole. But what you really want to make sure of when you get one of these drums is that it has a seal around the perimeter here. And this seal is clamps with the metal ring around the drum, and it will prevent air from leaking. If you get a drum that has no seal around it, it's no big problem. Just get some of that closed cell foam that you can find in any hardware store and glue it around the ring there, and you'll be fine. Now, this dust collection system runs on a typical ShopVac, nothing fancy, and here in through the course of this video you'll see how effective it is and how easy it is to make. Besides the drum, you're going to need some other parts. Let me move the tripod here. The other parts you need are a piece of, this is all 2-inch pipe, PVC. You need a piece that's 7 inches below your mounting block, and this mounting block screws to the top of the lid you just saw. And then, so that's 7 1.5 inches, and then another 1.5 inches, so that's 10 inches total, because you got 1.5 inches here, 1.5 inches here. And then this rubber hose adapter, the end of the dust vac or shop vac hose fits in there nice and snugly. You don't have to fight it. And the other end obviously attaches to your shop vac. The other thing you need is, when you open up the lid, you need something to mount the intake tube to, which is another piece of 2-inch PVC pipe that's going to eventually stick through the barrel, and we'll see that as we get a little further down in the video. But how do you mount this to this? Well, it's simple. You take and you make yourself a caul that's the same radius as the inside of the barrel. Okay, lovely. But what you could, how do you determine that? Well, you could stick a tape in here and measure it, but there's a simpler method, and you just take 2 sticks and take those 2 sticks, stick them in there, and clamp them with your fingers until it's tight on both walls. Pull it out and then measure it from one end to the other. In my case, it was 21 9/16, so half of that is 10 13/16. And so I made a radius of 10 13/16, so that when you stick it in there, the caul mates up with the interior diameter of the barrel, and now you're ready to go with the next step. So the next step is you take the pipe and you lay it on your caul after you've cut it off and sanded it, and you lay the pipe on there and you kind of eyeball it and get it so that it's centered on both directions, and you make your drawing or your mark there of the outside diameter of the pipe. So what I've done is, I'll show it to you again. What I've done is set up the table saw, move this is a one-man video production here, so you're going to have to bear with me. I've set up the table saw. This is just like Norm, except better. I've set up the table saw, this other table saw, with the stack dado head cutter, so that I take out the center portion of this to hog it out. So let's do that right now, and I've got it set for the depth so it's just a little bit below. So let's do that. Wear your safety glasses. Okay, so you can see how I've just got to there. I can move it over and take out a little bit more. So let's do that. I'll reset the depth so it's not cutting so deep. And you can see how the next step is there. If I just flip it over, I'll take out the same amount on this side. Now you can see where a lot more has been taken out. Let's do it one more time. Reset the depth. And run it through. Flip it over and do the same thing. And now you can see that I've gone just about as far as I dare to go without encroaching on this line here. So the next step after that is to go over to the router table. I've got the router table set up with a 1-inch cove bit. Let me zoom in there so you can see it. I don't have the depth set yet because I didn't know where it was going to be, but I'm just here to show you what the next step is. And what I'll do, and I'm not going to video this, but I'll sneak up on it with the cove bit, raising the depth as I go along, and then just carve this out. And so I'll pick, whoops, sorry about that, and I'll just carve that out and show you how that works in just a little bit. Talk to you in a while. Okay, here we are just a few minutes later, and as you can see, I got the call. Well, maybe that white background is not going to work for you. I got the call hogged out with the with that 1-inch core box bit. Earlier, I think I said cove. I misspoke. I'm sorry, but all it is just a round nose bit, and that will accept this 2-inch pipe. You don't have to get anal with this so that it has to fit in there perfectly. I'll show you later on what this purpose of this does here just shortly. But anyway, you can see that it fits there, and that's going to hold this intake pipe. Just so you know that this pipe here, this is the suction out. In other words, the vacuum cleaner, the ShopVac attaches to this pipe. The suction in pipe will go in through the side. Maybe you didn't see that. Going through the side right here. And how do we determine where that goes? Well, this is my design. I designed this back in 1997. I do believe that Dust Deputy, or whatever in the hell it's called, stole my idea off my website. But I'm not going to fight it. But what you want is the bottom of this suction in pipe to be 3 inches below the suction out pipe. This is suction in, this is suction out. You want the suction out part being 3 inches below the suction in. So based on that dimension, I already know where this needs to go, and it's about 2 inches below the edge of this. So the easiest way to do that, you can know if this is straight, because obviously it ain't going to fit. So you just put it in there. This is not rocket science. well, sort of. But you take your marker and you mark your barrel, and it doesn't matter, it's a radius, so you can put it in down where you want to. And then now you've got your 2 points for drilling holes through the cardboard, through the side, so that you can glue and screw the caul to the barrel. And in just a few minutes I'll show you what that looks like when I get done with that. Okay, now I've got the caul attached to the barrel and it's glued to the cardboard, and the screws that you want to use are what they call is truss head or washer head screws. All they are is the head underneath them is flat and Phillips drive. And you could, I suppose, use drywall screws. It's just that these truss head screws don't dig into the cardboard and mash it down in this instance. And so that's what I recommend you use. You don't have to run out and grab a handful of them. Drywall screws will probably work. So the next step is to cut the hole for the intake suction pipe to breach the barrel and come through. And how do you know where to mark that? And you're going to say, gosh, Joe, geez, I don't know how to do this. Well, it's simple. You take a piece of pipe and cut it precisely at 53 1/3 degree or thereabouts, and just a short piece, and you stick it in the caul until it mates up with the barrel side, and you just mark around that. And then you cut it out with a jigsaw. Looking from the inside here, you can run your jigsaw around and cut it. What you want to do is try to keep it as tight as you can to eliminate a big caulk joint. Again, the perimeter, when the pipe is sticking through there, you don't want any air leak. So if you just do what I just showed you here, stick it through there, nestle it inside your caul that you already made, and then mark around it, and then you'll get it pretty close. You might even find yourself going there with a file to make it as tight as you can. Ultimately, the caulk will be here inside the barrel, not outside. Of course, we don't want it to look ugly. So I'll do that here in a bit and get back with you after I get that hole cut, and we'll go on with the next step. Talk to you in a while. Okay, here we are back a few minutes later. As you can see, I got the hole cut, and if you use your trusty jigsaw, you should be able to hold the jigsaw on the outside of the barrel and follow the line that you had previously marked with that specially cut piece there to give you the perimeter. In this case, with this size barrel, this piece here is 19 inches long. You can see it's marked there. And you stick it in the hole and fit it up to your caul just to make sure that it fits nice and you don't have a big ugly cut line out here. Remember, we're going to caulk this so that there's no air leakage from the from whatever hole there. But I got to look at the video to see if I can see what you're seeing. Okay. Over here in this end, you don't want a square end slamming into this barrel. You want it on a 70 degree angle. Okay, so what you do is you take your piece of PVC pipe over to your trusty miter saw, and I've got a fence set up here to register the pipe against. And since you can't cut 70 degrees on a miter saw, 70 degrees off of 90 is 20. So you set your miter saw to 20 degrees and bump your pipe up to the fence and make sure that you hold it so it's square so you can get as decent of a cut as you can, and you cut it. And then that piece that flies off over there into the Netherlands, you don't have to worry about that, just pick it up later. So now you come back over here, and I gotta get this oriented right so you can see what happens next. So you stick your pipe back in the hole, and you'll notice that the cardboard of this barrel will eventually get chewed up, and I do mean chewed up, with chunks of wood, the sawdust, etc., and it'll wear away your barrel. How do you prevent that? Well, you take a piece of this metal, and this is strictly metal that you can go to any heat and air shop and get. It's what they make their ducts out of. In this case, it's 5 inches by 10.5, and you glue it to the barrel so that the dust that comes in there will just rake around the metal and then fall down on the bottom of the barrel. And so now I need to glue that on there, and that's going to take some time. So at this stage, I have to wait until the contact cement is set up so that I can stick it in there where it needs to go. But at this stage, as it is right now, pretty darn close to finishing this. So when this next video picks back up, or when I pick back up, we'll see how this thing works. And we'll talk to you in a while. Okay, here we are back, and as you can see, I've got the metal plate there mounted, glued to the side of the barrel, and all I used was some spray adhesive. In this case, it's called Stick It something or another. You could use 3M's product, any kind of a spray adhesive. For that matter, you can use any kind of contact cement. But what you want to do is, after you spray both sides, the one side of the metal and then the barrel, and when you put the metal strip on there, you can put it on there with your hands and work it from, say, that end there around that direction, just to get it to stick. But it would be a good idea to stick clamps on there, especially up along the top, because with that curled ridge like you see there, it's going to be difficult to get it tucked in there. So just, kind of walk your clamps around to stick it on there. And now that that part is done, it's time for the end suction plate, or pipe. You notice I drilled a hole there, and so when we stick it in the hole, you want to keep the end of the pipe right over here about 3/4 of an inch away from hitting the plate, and you don't want to have the pipe cocked down like this. If anything, you want to have it slightly up from center. And if you notice, I've marked the center line there, and slightly up from center would put it like about there. And the purpose of that is when the debris comes in, it hits it and wants to send it in a downward fashion. So don't put it exactly centered, but definitely don't have it up. So I'm going to have it just slightly up like that. And again, use a truss head screw like I showed you earlier. Take your trusty cordless drill. I feel like I'm talking in a barrel here. Hello? You don't have to worry about putting another, let's see if I'm seeing the same thing you are. You don't have to worry about putting another screw here, because the other end of the pipe is being held by the hole in the barrel, assuming you cut it close enough. If you see I'm pushing on it kind of rigorously and it's not moving. So all you need is the one screw. The next step is to take and caulk around the perimeter on the inside there of your pipe. And where in the hell did I do with that? Hold on. Notice the angle of this cut is slightly down, so when it hits this pipe or the plate, the chips are going to be wanting to go in a kind of downward circular motion. And after I get it caulked and before the next step, this pipe here, remember I said this is 7 inches, inch and a half, so that'd be a 10-inch total. What you want, what it'll ultimately be is 3 inches. This extension here will be 3 inches below this pipe. So that sucks the air up, the chips go around, hits the barrel in a circular motion and slams down in the bottom of the barrel. The next step is your block here is 5.5 inches square. Cut your hole, put a mark around it, drill the holes in the corners, put caulk so that it does not have any air or suction leakage between the block and this barrel top, and then just screw it down. And then after you're done caulking this and this, then you just let it set for 24 hours. Again, let it set for 24 hours and then come back, and then we'll pick up after I get done with that part. Talk to you in a while. Well, 24 hours. Okay, welcome back to the Twisted Knot Woodshop and my demonstration here on my Spiffy ShopVac. As I said earlier, that I designed this back in 1997, and this, what you're about to see here, is a true representation of exactly what you can expect to happen if you was to build one. Here's our barrel. I've got the pipe caulked in, as you can see there on the right, and the barrel, if you look down inside of it, is, I can't see that, is empty. Over here is the vacuum cleaner, a typical shop vac. In fact, it says shop vac on it. There's the vacuum head. Inside the vacuum, you can see a little bit of dirt, but I mean, there's no bag, there's nothing in it. And over there is my simulated pile of sawdust, and I'm going to connect the lid and the ring to this container, and when I get that all assembled, I'll start this show again and show you what happens and what you can expect, and how wonderful this thing works. I can't see a damn thing. Excuse me. The tube, the pipe, the end suction, you want to have that 3 inches sticking proud of the perimeter of this barrel, and that allows you to connect the whatever hose. Eventually, I'll show this in a follow-up video, but eventually the vacuum will be over there in that deep hole where you see those stools, and the pipe will run underneath the floor and come up over there where you see that air compressor there on the left-hand side, and that'll be the port for the vacuum hose. The floor, vacuum the floor, attach it to the world-famous router table. Sorry about this. I'm on the tripod, and Christ, and you can see the piping stick out of the side of the router table there, so the hose can attach to that, or to that pipe you see sticking out of the bandsaw there, so that you can transport the vacuum hose, wherever you want it to. But in just a few minutes here, it's going to take me a bit to assemble all this, so I'll get back with another segment of this after I get it all ready to go. See you in a bit. Alright, now I've got the vacuum head on the vacuum tank and the drum assembled, the hose from the ShopVac to the drum, and then two hoses from the collection barrel out to that end, which is currently next door to the simulated pile of sawdust. The total length of hose is 22 feet. I showed you earlier that the collection barrel was empty and the vacuum was empty. I'm going to go over here and suck up the pile of sawdust, and I don't know how long it's going to take, but let's go. Remember that vacuum is a constant, so what I have here is be the same thing as I have at the vacuum cleaner. You just hear that little clink, a big chunk just hit that barrel. Use this to vacuum your floor, or put it on any of your equipment. In this pile of dust is potato shavings, dust from the tablecloth, etc. Okay, now I'm going to go turn it off. Yes, I didn't get all of it, but we don't need that for the purpose of this demonstration. I'm going to disconnect the hose, undo the clamp ring, and take a look down in there. Notice the dust, the debris is piled up more on this little corner over here. Corner and around? No, can't have that. It's wrapping around. Alright? And I'll take off the lid from the vacuum and take a look. There's just very little down there, like hardly anything. Technically, if you have a filter like this on there, that would be fine, but if you had a bag, a filter bag that would fit around this, right here, that your dust would all go in the filter bag, and you would have nothing going into the filter on the vacuum head. And so you can see what happens in here with the dust. It built up along this top edge here and a little bit on this hose, but most of it hit the plate, and you can see the swirl mark right there where it just goes right straight down and swirls around. And down the road, if you ever build this, all you have to do is come by and kind of nudge it a little bit, and to see how heavy it is, and if it's heavy, empty it. And as far as the hose situation, yes, I realize you probably don't have this hose that came with your ShopVac, this particular size, but the hose that I recommend using is swimming pool hose for cleaning the swimming pools. It's pretty close to this, not exactly, but you can adapt it easy enough. So therefore, you can see how efficient it is, and you can also certainly see how cheap it is. And so if you build it, have fun. And once you start using it, your dust collection problems are over. And well, got dust in the camera. We'll talk at you later. Bye-bye.